morning everyone. I hope you are doing well. This is Cool Shortcut and today I'm going to discuss about Julia Kristeva. So here is a blur picture of Julia Kristeva. I could not get some clear photo of her. I could not download clear photo. So here you can see the picture of Julia Kristeva. So let's know more about her. Julia Kristeva is a distinguished Bulgarian French philosopher. So please note down the nation because most of the time they ask the question of the nationality of the writer, of the theorist. So she is a distinguished Bulgarian French philosopher, psychoanalyst, and writer whose work has profoundly impacted various disciplines, including semiotics, psychoanalysis, feminism, and literary theory. So her work profoundly impacted various disciplines which are there. They are semiotics, psychoanalysis, feminism, and literary theory. She was born in 1941. Kristeva's pioneering idea have challenged the traditional boundaries and explored the intricate intersections of language. So her ideas have challenged the traditional boundaries and it intricate the intersections of language. Note down the word language because her theories are more associated with language and power. Then the unconscious and cultural practices. So she was associated with psychoanalytic theory, right? So her theories are related with language, unconscious mean and cultural practices. Her theoretical contributions, particularly her concepts of semiotic and symbolic, coda, and intertextuality, have reshaped our understanding of subjectivity, identity, and dynamics power of language. Power and language. As you know that I had already made a video about Michael Foucault. So Michel Foucault, he talked about power and knowledge, and here Julia Kristeva tried to talk about power and language. So if you check in Wikipedia, there are many quotations where Michael Foucault talked about Julia Kristeva. He praised her, and others are also like Barthes. He also praised her theory. So I did not put this down here. So here we can see that her theories has reshaped our understanding of subjectivity, identity, and dynamics of power and language. And here are her important concepts or ideas which I will talk about later, which is semiotic and symbolic, coda, and intertextuality, and another is abject. So, through her exploration of maternal, the abject, and poetic language, Kristeva has significantly enriched contemporary thought, her making her central figure in the study of language and human experience. So let's see her most important concepts one by one. Julia Kristeva's extensive body of work spans various disciplines including philosophy, psychoanalysis, linguistics, feminism, literary criticism. Here are some of her important writings. So here I got this picture from Google where it was written in the caption the who is Julia Kristeva. So here is her picture. Then the revolution, her first important work, Revolution in Poetic Language, which was published in 1974. This groundbreaking book introduces Kristeva's key concept of the semiotic and symbolic. So this groundbreaking work, which is Revolution in Poetic Language, which was published in 1974, introduces Kristeva's key concept of semiotic and symbolic. She explores how poetic language disrupts conventional linguistic structures. So, as you know that Russian formalism and Russian formalist, they and new criticism also, they talked about what? They talked about this familiarity. They talked about the deconstructionists, they talked about this familiarity, right? Like how the poetic language, the textual language, they departs from the original language structure. So here also Julia Kristeva, she want to say that how this poetic language disrupts conventional linguistic structure. There will be no subject, then verb and object. They just mold it. They try to disrupt the conventional structure to give it more expression, to give it more impression to us, right? So it allowing for new forms of expression and meaning. It allows to new form of meaning. As you know that why we use rhetoric, why we use figure of speech. Most of the time we use figure of speech so that we can relate it, we can express our meaning, right? The writers try to express their meaning in different way. The thing is the same, the plot is the same, but they try to disrupt the conventional structure and try to give it a new meaning so that it impact us for long. So the work is crucial for understanding her views on language, subjectivity and the unconscious. So you know that she was also related with psychoanalysis. So she talked about the unconscious, because when we in poetic language, when they disrupt the conventional structure and try to give it in new way, make it new. So it strikes our unconsciousness, right? If they want to talk about the Mahatma Gandhi, they will talk about her spectacles, right? So it gives our unconsciousness that they are giving us reference about Mahatma Gandhi, right? So here also he trying to say that this work is crucial for understanding her views of language. The work Revolution in Poetic Language, here she talked about views of language, subjectivity and the unconscious. Then her most important work, Powers of Horror. Powers of Horror, note it down. An essay on abjection. Most of the time they also ask this term, that who propounded it. So, and the work also asked. So Powers of Horror, an essay on abjection, it was published in 1980. In this influential text, Kristeva develops her theory of the abject, which refers to what is expelled from symbolic order, such as bodily fluids and waste. The abject is what both fantasizes and repulses, challenging the boundaries and identity. This work has had a significant impact on feminist theory, psychoanalysis, and cultural studies. So, here when I talked about the symbolic stage and semiotic stage, the symbolic and the difference between semiotic and symbolic, you can understand this work better. So in this text, in this influential text, Kristeva develops her theory of the abject, which refers to what expelled from the symbolic order. What expelled from the symbolic order, you can understand it later, such as bodily fluids and waste. We sometimes we every time we did bodily fluids and waste, right? So the abject is what both fantasize and repulses, challenging the boundaries and identity. So this is also important work. So let's see, when we talk about abject, you can understand it more in concept when we talked about the concepts. Then the next work is Desire in Language, a semiotic approach to literature and art, which was published in 1980. This is a collection of essays showcasing Kristeva's application of semiotic theory to literature and art. She examines how text and artworks generate meaning through intertextuality, the interplay of different texts and discourses. This work highlights her contributions to literary theory and her analytical method. So here also he used the word, she used the word intertextuality. So later I will make you understand what is intertextuality. So now only know that Desire in Language, a semiotic approach to literature and art, published in 1980. This is a collection of essays showcasing Kristeva's application of semiotic theory to literature and art, and she examines how text and artworks generate meaning through intertextuality, the interplay of different texts and discourses. This book highlights her contribution to literary theory. Then Tales of Love, which was published in 1983. In this book, Kristeva delves into psychoanalytic dimensions of love, exploring its role in the development of human subject. So here she tried to delve into the psychoanalytic dimensions of love and try to explore its role in the development of human psyche, human subject. She examines various literary and philosophical texts to uncover the complexities of love, desire, and identity. As you know that Michel Foucault, he explored the sexuality, the desire, the sensual things, and here she tried to explore many books, many writings to explore the love, desire, and identity. And the book name is Tales of Love, which was published in 1983. Then her next work, Black Sun and Depression and Melancholia. Black Sun, Depression and Melancholia, which was published in 1987. As you know, she was associated with psychoanalysis theory. Therefore, she talked about depression and melancholy. So, here Kristeva explores the psychological and cultural dimensions of depression and melancholia, linking them to the loss of maternal. She investigates how these states manifest in literature and art. So she investigates that how these states manifest in literature and art, and offering insight to the human psyche and creative process. So and it offers the offering insights the human psyche and creative process, that how we depressed, how we feel melancholy, how we frustrated, we became frustrated, and how it expressed through literature, through art. So there in this work, Black Sun, Depression and Melancholia, she tried to explore this theme. Then Strangers to Ourselves, it was published in 1991. So there also important themes she was discussed, that in this text Kristeva addressed the theme of the foreigner and the experience of being an outsider. So note down the word outsider, being a the experience of the foreigner, of an outsider, as an outsider. She examines how societies construct and perceive foreigners, reflecting on issues of identity, difference, and multiculturalism. So here she said that how this foreigner, they reflecting an issue on identity, difference, and multiculturalism, the globalization, the multiculturalism, how they feel stranger. You can understand from the very first title of the book, right? So strangers to ourselves, that how we become strangers, how we become outsider when we go to the foreign country, when we go to the new country, new places. Then the sense and nonsense of revolt. So you can understand from the title itself that Kristeva explores the concept of revolt not only as political rebellion but also as a necessary condition for personal and social transformation. She discusses how questioning and challenging norms are vital development of individual and collective identity. So when I read about these theories, I most of the time I realized that these theories, they try to break down the societal norm, right? So here also Julia Kristeva said that these rebellion, they questions the traditional norm which was set by the society. This rebellion is not only political but also necessary for personal growth and social transformation. So in her work, The Sense and Nonsense of Revolt, she talked about this. Then her later work, The Feminine and the Sacred, 2001. Co-written with Catherine Clement, this book discusses the intersections of feminine and sacred in various religious and cultural contexts. As you know that she was also a feminist theorist, right? So here she tried to talk about that how society try to make us feminine, try to make the concept of sacred, how you can be a sacred, and to for the benefits of religion, for the benefits of culture, for the benefits of societal norm, right? So the feminine and the sacred, here she discussed the discusses the intersections of feminine and the sacred in various religious and cultural contexts. The author explore how these concepts have been constructed and represented throughout society, throughout history. So, as you know, that Michel Foucault, he talked about that how this history made. There are no genealogy, right? There are how he talked about the archaeology and genealogy. So she also said that the history, the throughout history, how women are represented, how their femininity being represented. If women have to sit like this, if women have to talk like this, so these things, that how she became a feminine, how she have to adopt the femininity, and how she became the have to be sacred, maybe virgin, and these things. So she talked about in the these things in this book. Then the incredible need to believe. So when I read about this book, about this text, so I remember Coleridge's theory, the willing suspension of disbelief, right? So he talked about that how we willingly disbelieve ourselves, willingly like to disbelieve these things, that this when the literature shows us that a cow is talking, a dog is playing, a dog is talking with you, so we try to believe, because we try to accept it as normal. So here also, though this is not related, by I when I read this thing, I remember this. So Kristeva explores the human need for belief and faith, connecting in it to the psychoanalytic concept of the imaginary father. So who is imaginary father? The God, right? The role of religion and ideology in human life. So Kristeva tried to explore the human need. So it is our human need. As you know that it is in paper one, you also read that what is intrapersonal communication. Intrapersonal communication means we need to talk with sometimes we talk with ourselves, most of the time we talk with ourselves, sometimes we talk with something imaginary. Imaginary, maybe it's God, maybe it's a soul, right? So it is an imaginary father, I mean it is a God. So it is our need, our belief and faith, it is our need, the human need. So she tried to explore the human need for belief and faith, connecting to the psychoanalytic concept of the imaginary father, and how this role it's became religion and ideology in human life. We try to believe that there is someone who will protect us, right? There is someone, some imaginary soul who will protect us. So it is our human need, and for this we made the God, right? And you know that in ancient time they believe that God exists in tree, in fire, in soil, right? So it is the human need they try to believe, because most of the time this time they are they don't have they don't have the instruments, they don't have the thing to protect them. So most of the time they are more believer than us. In modern life we have the choice to not to believe these things. So here Julia Kristeva tried to say that we need it is the human need to believe something, that some God, some imaginary father will protect us. It is the human need. Then the Severed Head Capital Visions. It was published in 2012. In this work, Kristeva examines the symbolism of the head in Western culture, focusing on the themes of power, sacrifice, disapprobation in literature, art, and history. She investigates how these symbols shape our understanding of authority and identity. So I made a video about Edward Said also. So you know that how these Western culture, how these Occident, they try to rule us. They try to rule the Middle East, right? That they are the superior and you are the inferior one. So here also Kristeva in her book The Severed Head Capital Visions try to say that the symbolism of the head of in Western culture focusing on the power, sacrifice, disappedations in literature, art and history, how they represent, how through these media, through this literature, art and history, they try to overrule us. She investigates that how these symbols shape our understanding of authority and identity, how we make it make us to think that they are superior. So Kristeva's writing are marked by their interdisciplinary approach. True, this is really true because she explored everything. Right, as I see that she explores reconstruction, post-structuralism, then the Marxism, you can say also that because she talked about power, psychoanalysis theory, feminism, then she talked about the formalism, means she talked about the poetic language. So she she has the interdisciplinary approach, blending psychoanalysis, semiotic, cultural critique. Her works continues to influence the and inspire scholars across various fields, offering profound insight into language, identity, and human condition. So there is a revision of her work. First is that power. Some important work I note down: powers of horror, an essay on abjection, 1980s, desire in language, a semiotic approach to literature and art, revolution in poetic language, 1974, marriage as a fine art. So I did not talk about this, so you can note it down: marriage as a fine art. About Chinese women, 1974, you can note down this also. Passions of our time, 2018. Nation with Nationalism, 1993. Black Sun, I already talked about it. New Melodies of Soul. So here you can categorize it as a feminist text or feminism, category of feminism. New Melodies of the Soul. Then now the real thing come, which is the concept. Now we have to understand the concept. Maybe it will be it was better if I talked about these concepts first and then talk this works. It will help you more. Then first talked about the concept of semiotic and symbolic. Kristeva's distinction between semiotic and the symbolic is central to her theory. The semiotic represents a pre-linguistic, unconscious dimension of language characterized by rhythm, intonation, and bodily drives, whereas the symbolic pertains the structured linguistic order governed by law and societal norm. So what is semiotic and what is symbolic? There is a difference. What is this? The semiotic represents the pre-linguistic unconscious dimension language characterized by rhythm, intonation, bodily drives, whereas symbolic is the structured or conventional linguistic order governed by law, societal norms. So semiotics means there is no structure, there is unconscious thing is happening, and unconscious dimension, you can use the intonation, there is rhythm and bodily drives. But symbolic, when you came to the symbolic stage, you have to follow the rule, follow the linguistic structured rule which was governed by law and societal norms. Then the next concept, coda, her most important concept, coda, and most of the time this was asked also. Maybe I cannot remember. Maybe this time also they asked the concept coda with Julia Kristeva. So coda, borrowing from Plato's Timaeus. Maybe I pronounce it right. So it was. Borrowing from Plato's Timaeus, the coda is a concept Kristeva used to describe a space of potentiality pre-symbolic order. It is a matrix of sensory experience drives before they are articulated into language. So coda means, if I can draw here, okay, I can. Okay. So Kora means, you can see that before before we talk something in our mind, many things happens in our mind. Before we have an argument, we have to give a speech, or we have to talk with about something. So there are many things happening in our mind, right? But when we speak, we have to follow the subject, verb, object, rule, and we have to speak in a symbolic way, symbolic structure, in a conventional structure. When we speak, we did not when we speak, we did not say so many things. But before, Kora is the stage. This is the Kora is the stage before speaking. We have many things in our mind, right? But when we speak, we follow in a structured way. You cannot use all these things, all these sentences, all these interlinked, disrupted, fragmented things. These are fragmented, unconscious things. But when we speak, we follow the symbolic rule. We follow the as Julia Kristeva said, we follow the symbolic structure. So Kora is the pre-symbolic stage. Kora is a concept Kristeva used to describe the space of potentiality. We have the potentiality to speak many things, right? When we did a argument, we most of the time we say that there is many things in our mind, but when we speak, I forget all these points, right? Most of the time it happens with that there is many things in our mind, but when we speak with this person, we forget many points, and we then just give 2 or 3 points that you did this, there, and that. So it is the space of potentiality, and it is the pre-symbolic order. It is a matrix of sensory experience, our sensory experience, and drives before they are articulated into language. So I hope can make you understand. Then our important things is intertextuality. So here also Kristeva said the most important concept by Kristeva. Most of the time they ask, please note it down if you are noting somewhere. Then Kristeva expanded on Bakhtin's idea to develop the concept of intertextuality, suggesting that the texts are not isolated entities but are interconnected through a web of references and influences. This approach emphasizes the interdependence of text and their context. So what is intertextuality? When we read some book, maybe some modern text, or maybe the book which is published just yesterday. When we read this book, we can we can get the references of the previous books we had already read. So this is called intertextuality by Julia Kristeva. Julia Kristeva said that every text has the references, the essence of previous text. A text cannot be a text cannot be whole in new. So there should be many references, significance of another text. If you read a book where there is a hero and heroine and there is a villain, so you don't know any another book where there is a hero, heroine, and villain. So it has the references because every text is intertextual with each other. When the writers try to write something, he had already written, he had already read many books before that, and it should have the impact on the writer. A writer cannot write in the you can say write in the air, right? He or she have to take references, have to take the plot, have to take the significance of another text which he or she had written or read before. So this is called intertextuality, and Kristeva said this is not the weakness. This made the text more acceptable to the reader, right? When we can relate it with our past experience, when we relate it with our past when we read it in another book, and we can relate it increase the more acceptability of the text. So this is called intertextuality, and this is given by Julia Kristeva. I hope I can make you understand it well. Then revolution in poetic language. In seminal work Revolution in Poetic Language, Kristeva explores how poetic language disrupt the conventional structure. So as I told you that how poetic language disrupt the conventional structure, opening up a new spaces for meaning and expression. As you know that if I saw an incident and I came to you and I told you and I share my experience, I said that I was going and I saw a thief, he was beaten badly. But if I was a poet, I will write it in some way that it will strike you. But if I say it in a like an incident, as the newspaper said, it was not strike us. But if when it, so it is said that the pen is mightier than the sword, right? Because the pen has the power, the pen has the power of language, pen has the power of uses of rhetoric, right? And it has the power to strike us more. So it gives us new faces, meaning and expression. And she argues that poetry can access and articulate the semiotic offerings insight into the unconscious and the bodily. So poetry can access and articulate the semiotic means the unconsciousness, the you can relate it with aura also, our bodily gesture and unconscious, which is in our unconscious, and it gives it a new way. Then feminism and gender theory. So Kristeva's feminist theory critically examines the construction of gender and dynamics of motherhood and identity. So she talked about the motherhood and identity. Her work on the maternal, particularly the Stabat Mater, interrogates the mother's role and the maternal body's impact and on identity formation. So here she talked about the mother's role, the maternal body's impact on identity formation. So you can relate it with Freud and Lacan also, because she associated it with Lacan and Freud. The mother's role, the maternal body, how it impact our identity, our individualism, how we relate with our mother's womb, right? And how we also want to go back there, how we feel secure in there, right? So then subjectivity and psychoanalysis, integrating Lacanian psychoanalysis, Kristeva investigates the formation of the subject. She explores how language and the unconscious interact to shape identity, emphasizing the role of the abject elements that disrupts identity in order and the order in the psyche. So she relate her theory with Lacanian psychoanalysis. She got influenced by Lacan, and she investigated the formation of subject. She explored how language, unconscious interact to shape identity, emphasizing the role of the abject, which is elements that disrupt identity and order in the psyche. Then cultural critic. Kristeva's works includes cultural critic, analyzing how language, power, and ideology intersect in shaping societal norms and individual identities. Her approaches provide tools to deconstruct and challenge established cultural and literary paradigms. So how she try to criticize the culture through language, power, and ideology. So and her approach provides tool to deconstruct and challenge established cultural and literary paradigms. So this is the end of the video. I hope it will give you a good time, and I try my best to make you understand. Maybe there are many mistakes and you can comment it down. So thank you for giving your time.